Hey everyone, Jim T. Graham with RCGroups.com. Jason, do you know how long I've been doing podcasts on this RC network of ours?
70 years?
Yes, 89 years. We're joined by Lane, and we have amazing news. Lane actually has a good internet connection. His lighting we've been working on, and he's only. Oh wait, we didn't do the half face, and we're only going to show half our faces for the rest of the podcast because I found that it increases clicks.
That's right. Get on it, Jason. Step up your game, man.
It's a long way away.
Yeah, it's hard to get on the mic that way too.
Wait, should I show my good side?
Yeah. Which side is that? The back? Yeah. So Lane just said, hey, before we get going, what are we going to talk about? And then I thought that was a great time to start talking because there's no reason that we should really figure out what we're doing before we do it. But I have big news, Jason Cole.
Really?
Guess where I was just at?
The field?
Yeah, I went to the field at 1 o'clock, and the podcast started at 2 o'clock. And my wife said, "You go, honey." And I said, "I got some stuff to fly, and I know I can't do it in time." So I got there, and first time I've ever seen this in like the last 5 years. Guess what it was?
An FPV plane.
No one was at the field.
Nobody was at the field, really?
Not one person. And when I got out of my truck, I knew why. It was blowing like crazy out there.
Oh, was it today? Yeah.
Yeah. So, I should have.
Is that why you wrapped so early? You didn't fly?
No, I did fly. I did 2 batteries and I did a DVR. You know what? I should go get the stuff I'm talking about, but it's going to be a redundant topic. I took the scimitar out and I went out with Jason last week and I learned how to turn scimitar. What? Scimitar now.
Scimitar down now.
Scimitar. You know what? I am going to go get my stuff. Check this out. I bought these. I've been wearing headphones for years, and really, Lane, I'll stop talking in a second.
I don't care. Talk all you want.
The cable.
It's your show.
One thing I like to do is jump up from my chair and then yank my head back. I do it like 30 times a day. And so the other thing I like to do is roll my chair back on my cable and then unplug the cable and then I cuss. And so I bought these on the Amazon. They're wireless. Some should jump right up. I'll be right back.
I mean, they're so sleek and sexy.
Yeah, they make me look like I'm going skiing or something.
The color looks great with your cowboy hat.
Well, and it is my colors. So I'll leave it to you guys. Be right back.
All right.
PYB.
Have you done any flying, Jace?
No, I've been driving.
That's right.
We'll talk about it in a little bit, I guess.
That is a Rockstar.
Rockstar. There's no R. It's like close to Rockstar, but one letter short.
So that's millennials must have designed that because they have a tendency not to finish words. What are some of those? Brah. Anyway, hey, for everybody who's going to listen to this show and is listening to this show, if you're anywhere near Aberdeen, South Dakota, let me open my calendar and I'll give you a date. You need to go to Aberdeen, South Dakota and be here on, I think the 31st, which is Friday, next Friday, not tomorrow, but the 31st of August. They're having their annual RC event at the field here. And if you need directions to it, hit me up on Facebook or Lane's Plains Facebook or lanesplains@gmail.com or blah, 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 blah. Anyway, go see those guys. Really nice field out here. It's not huge, but it's big enough. You can fly anything you want here. So pretty nice place. Nice guys too. Lots of fun. We're donating some stuff to them. They don't even know that yet. Lane's Plains is donating them some stuff to give away. I don't even know if they have a raffle. It doesn't matter. They'll give it away.
They will.
We started doing, because Crash Hancock, of course, we're trying to get Crash Hancock put into the AMA Hall of Fame. So there's kind of a thing going around right now. If you have any connections, any pull with anybody at the AMA, kind of put a bug in their ear about Crash Hancock and the impact he had on this hobby.
I'm friends with the vice president of the AMA.
All right, so I'm counting on you. Make that happen.
Do you have any documentation or a website or any text anywhere that I could direct someone to?
There's somebody working on that. I'll have to go back and look who it is. And they've been communicating with them, trying to get that accomplished. But
okay, I have a better idea. Let's do a feature article with the stuff that your friend's creating, and then push it to the AMA.
I see. That's a good idea.
Yeah.
Because if anybody deserves to be in the AMA Hall of Fame, I would think that Crash is definitely up there in that elite group of people.
You said that and something popped in my head, Jason. Instead of simmer down now, we didn't get to do anything this year because they canceled the show on us. We could just yell Crash next year.
Oh,
Crash,
wow.
Crash.
Everybody looking around for the airplane that crashed.
Yeah.
So this year, Lane's Planes does our Hard Luck Award. Have you ever seen one? It's the award that no one wants to win. And what we do is we make an engraved plaque. It's really, really nice. It's a fairly significant plaque. And it's got the year on it. And then it's got a picture of this little guy flying an airplane. And you see the little smoke trail and the airplane hitting the ground. And it's all kind of destroyed. And so that's the award that we've been given. And it's designed, whoever had the worst luck or the worst crash of the event. And with it, they get one of our tool organizers. So they have a place to put their stuff to rebuild their airplane. And we've been doing that for a couple of years now. And this year we talked to Connie, Crash's wife, and we used the Crashcast logo, his little logo. And it's really, really a neat award. I've actually got one downstairs. But
you could rename it the Crash Hancock Award.
We might just have to do that.
And then at the end of the year, you get the #1 Crash Hancock. It's like getting an Emmy or the other one that actually has a name, the Oscars. Except you get the Crash.
We could put it on a stand and.
Well, I would love to promote that on all our channels.
That would be pretty cool. Well, so yeah, that's one of the things. So if you know an event coming up, or if there's a pretty good sized event close by you, let us know at lanesplanes@gmail.com, and we'll get some stuff out to you, and we'll shoot off a Hard Luck Award to you. We give one to pretty much every event.
Maybe at Nashbro.
It's hard to. There's gonna be a lot of crashes there, though, aren't there?
Yeah. I'm sorry. It's fun.
It's hard to pick the best crash.
Well, usually it's easy.
Exhale, Jim.
Yeah.
Show us half of your face. That way you only cough half as much.
His is smoother. So I have a couple of things to report. These headphones, I could hear you guys talking all the way to my truck.
Nice.
If they had a microphone, I could have continued the broadcast walking around the house. Second, this is the sexiest headphones I've ever had. I'm going to tell you why. When you turn them on, I made my wife listen to this. She didn't believe me. And then she laughed out loud. They go, "You're connected." And then when you turn them off, they go, "You're disconnected." And then they talk in a Russian accent. So she goes, "Network acquired." Or just think of Natasha. They talk like that.
Is that why you were sweaty and breathing hard when you started?
No, yeah. I think Truman, my son, said she should say more stuff. And I'm like, I think you're right.
And how old is Truman?
He's 15. He doesn't know what he was talking about, but
he knows.
She affirmed me in multiple ways throughout the day. You look great,
Get like an Alexa headphones.
First of all, look at this box. I don't know. I think this belonged to Piggy. If anyone knows who he is, he died. His favorite hobby in his last years was he was so old that he said he wasn't intimidating to ladies. Anyway, he flirted with ladies a lot. So this was Pig's case. And then when he died, they were giving away all his tools and stuff. And I'm like, really? So I took this in honor of Pig. But look what's inside. Guys. All right, this is going to fall on my head and chop it off. So I took this guy out today, Jason, with a 4-cell on the bottom.
Okay.
Because what I taught myself last week, Lane, was how to hit the stop button when I wanted it to record and how to hit the record button when I wanted the DVR to stop.
Dude, that reminds me real quick, just interject here. When we used to shoot videos with Hobby Lobby, Mike Hines would always do the filming and, I would fly, and I was editing the videos back then. And every time we'd get back, there'd always be a segment of it's about to take off, and then it cuts off, and then you just see Mike walking. It's so funny.
That makes me feel better. I have a whole series of those videos right now.
If you had this shirt, you wouldn't have that problem.
I saw your shirt earlier, and I think Jason used to say that. He's kind of a big deal. Didn't you used to say that?
I never said that.
And shutting. Boom. Okay, so here's the new thing that I brought out. So like I said last week, I was using this. Actually, I had 2 DVRs, but Jason had a DVR. He just sat on the table and then would hit a button. And I'm like, yeah, simplicity. I need it. Well, this came with this. And so this camera talks to this monitor. And so check it out. The biggest thing about DVRs is when it's so bright outside and you're in the goggles or something, where's the record button, right? I said the same thing this morning. Oh, there's the record button in the bright red record label and a button. That is exactly how it should be. So I took this out today, Jason, and I actually did Jason Cole flying. I didn't realize I was in mode 3, the highest mode of all.
Oh, really? You were doing acro?
Well, I was in the backyard in mode 3, and I thought, man, this thing's touchy. But then I went out in the field, and I was like, you should check your switch. And I was in acro, and so I went, woo, front row, woo, side roll, and then I flew it around. I went. No one was at the. We have a wood pavilion lane, and there's always like old men and young men and medium men. Everybody's under there, and so. But today, no one was there. So Jason and I have slalomed the poles.
No, in the overhang.
Yeah, and then I was going to fly into the trash can, but it was so windy. So here's the thing. It was so windy that I had to fight the wind, so overcompensating to move forward, right? And then when I turned, I had to compensate in reverse to unfight the wind. And so anyway, that's what I did before I got here.
Strangely, I did the same thing at about 1 o'clock this morning.
Oh, in a full scale?
Yeah, in a helicopter. We had 32 knot headwind on the way down to Sioux Falls. Oh, that was about midnight. But the good part is I had a 32 knot tailwind on the way home.
There you go.
Right.
But then when you make your base turn to come in and land, let me tell you, it shoots you downwind a ways.
You got to crank it over like 90 degrees.
Yeah, it was interesting.
You know, if I was really cool, I'd play the video on this. Maybe I'll figure it out before the show's over.
Yeah, I want to see you doing loopies and rollies and flippies and stuff.
Well, it is kind of amazing. Simply, all I did was the one thing that I was afraid of is I was going to fly out of my own vision because, you know, this after so far away. Oh, I forgot to say, I brought my FPV case full of goggles, but I didn't have any goggles in my FPV case. So nice. I thought, I'm flying. I don't care. So I flew this thing out. And then I would go, wow, and then I would roll it. And then when I got far enough out where it was specking, I would just hit reverse and fly it back at myself.
There you go.
So that's
LOS.
Yeah, I LOS'd it, and then I did that in the backyard. Also, Jason, I don't know if we mentioned this last week, but I was flying the Mini GB last week, and I got one great flight. And when I landed it, I landed a little hard, I guess. I don't know. I think you need to grease it. But we had an elevator problem, and so that board showed up today, Jason, at my door. So, well, now that's out in the truck too. Come on, snarn it. I figured you and I was going to invite you to go flying tomorrow, Jason.
I could do that. Yeah.
If you want to, unless it's too windy.
Jason gets invited, but
Lane
just has to stay home.
Hey, just get the heli and come on down.
Come on down. Yeah.
Yeah, they won't mind.
You could say I cut my arm or something and you got to head on down to Nashville.
That's right. I got to get to Nashville. A friend of mine flies the helicopter there in Vanderbilt. He's been there for quite a while.
At our club that rides. He doesn't fly it. He rides in the Vanderbilt helicopter.
Oh, it looks great tomorrow, man. 5 to 10, 86, partly cloudy.
Right. Bring something that you enjoy. All we have to do is fly the GB and film it. That's it.
Yeah, man.
And take photos.
Take something fast. Like, what do you have that's ridiculously fast, Jason?
I've got the EF Extra.
How fast does it go?
On Racer. It's 110.
That's not fast.
Well, okay. That's the fastest I got.
You need a CUDA.
Maybe he does need a CUDA.
Hey, look right here. There's 2 of them in the process of being built.
There you go.
So I have them done here shortly. And I'm actually building those to sell them as ARFs.
Nice.
Yeah. Oh, man, I was going to tell you something. Oh, did you see that the FCC is cracking down on FPV guys for not having their ham license?
No, how are they getting them?
I don't know, but all I know is there was a letter. Oh, I read it earlier, referencing FPV flyers and the FCC is so. Just be careful. In other words, if you do not have your ham radio license, you probably need to get out there and get it. It's not that hard, guys. It's not that expensive. Just go do the test, get the little study guide online, do the test, and get your license and be legal. At least then you don't have to worry about it, and you know you're following the law.
Legit. Legit.
I was just I'm working on an FCC story about Representative DeFazio from Oregon. Um, I'm trying to put everything together in the story, and I'm still debating whether to release it or not. DeFazio is the main guy against 336, trying to let the FAA regulate all model pilots, not just drone pilots. So I really do believe that there is going to be some crackdown on especially commercial drone pilots and the big drones. But this guy wants everything under control. And on the one hand, I'm reluctant to do anything on this because I do not want to go negative on the hobby. On the other hand, I feel like that we need to all be aware of it so we can get in front of it. I have a document that was unreleased to the public that was leaked. What? And it's in my.
You're going to go out of the country, man. You're going to have to go live in exile.
It's in my article.
Jimmy leaks.
Well, I don't think it's illegal. Russia. It's not illegal or anything. It was sent to the members of the Senate, and then I got an email that said this was sent to the Senate, but I guess it became public like this week. So this morning I took it all and put it in the article, and the article is still hanging there. The real point here is DeFazio is a bad guy for us if you're into this hobby. And so I'm trying to figure out how to let everyone be aware of that. And then the question is, what the heck can we do about it? I did a story last week about a petition for the 336 and sent a link on how you sign that up. I sent that out to 100,000 people. And so anyway, it's all, I'm just trying to get my head around it all. To tell you the truth.
It's not an easy thing to understand or, explain. Just
well, I've been
people that are, invested into it, do a good job and, have our best interests in mind.
Right. Well, they don't have our interests in mind at all. And so this video of this meeting where everyone said, where's the AMA? What I've learned is that had nothing to do with recreational flying. And it wasn't a round table. It was a unilateral table of certain people that were invited. And by that, I mean people that are invested in commercial drone use, delivery systems, who would love to take away our ability to fly so that they could make more money. Right. So they weren't supposed to talk about recreational use in this meeting. It was DeFazio who brought it up and shouldn't have brought it up. And it's also DeFazio who's behind this new, who's trying to change 336. So I've got my sights on DeFazio. The flip side is I heard about this. I'm just kind of talking here. I drive around in my truck and think, and I'm telling you what I've been thinking. I thought when I heard this, why didn't somebody say this hobby has created astronauts and pilots and people that create the things that we do in space and the air? And so I watched the whole video yesterday again, and there was a guy who said that exact thing. And so I am doing the story on DeFazio because it's so bad. But the next thing I'm going to do is a story on the guy who stood up for us in this meeting. Never heard of him before, but we should all get behind him and support that guy.
I saw the same meeting and he kind of got hushed.
Yeah.
Which was a bunch of crap. But he's definitely on the right track. At least we've got, somebody there looking out for the hobby, because commercial stuff, hey, that's the way it is. If you own a business and you run a business, you pay these taxes, you follow these regulations and these rules. That's fine. If you're a private individual, hi, Steve, I see you said hi there. If you're a private individual, you do what you want for the most part within, the rules. So commercial drone, and I hate the word drone. They're not drones. Drones go away and get shot at and don't come back. They're multi-rotors or quadcopters or unmanned aerial systems or anything, but they're not drones. Anyway.
Lost that battle. They're drones.
No, that's sadly, that is what everyone calls them. But by the technical definition, they're really not. Anyway, I don't have a problem with commercial things being regulated. They should be. There needs to be some regulation on some things because, like I've said, I said it on the Crashcast 100 times. It's not you and me, the guys out here who know what they're doing with the RC hobby, who are the problem. The AMA members and people who've been building model airplanes and flying helicopters for the last 80 years, we don't cause a problem. We don't fly up near airports and on the approach path into an airport, or we don't take off with our airplanes and go try to watch a helicopter at an accident scene. It's the guys who go down to to Best Buy and pick up a DJI Phantom and know nothing about the RC hobby, grab it, take it home, read the directions, and go, oh, cool, and go fly the thing. Those are the guys that we have a problem with. And it's not because they're bad people, stupid people, or anything like that. It comes down to simply they're uneducated.
Ignorance. Yep.
Exactly. And if they're not educated on what they should do and how they should do it and what the, I guess, the standard is, then somehow that has to be accomplished. And sadly, I mean, come up with a better way. Yeah, if you don't make a regulation, then how can you make everyone get that education necessary? So I don't know what the answer is. I just know what the problem is.
Yeah.
And I don't disagree. If me having to have an ID on my FPV equipment saves the rest of the hobby, or if I have to stop flying drones to save the rest of the hobby, I'm totally in on that. I get that. What I don't want to have happen is we lose our hobby because of all these DJI people that aren't even hobbyists, you know?
Right. And you know, I pick on DJI because, well, that's kind of the most common, and honestly, they've got great equipment. There's nothing wrong with their stuff. That's for sure.
And even more better equipment after today's announcements.
Uh-huh.
All right. So I'll finish up where what I was doing this morning. So I got my board in on my mini GB, not UMX GB. And I felt like I was building a ship in a bottle. You know, I was trying to get my hands in there and
microplane. Yeah.
Unplug everything and pull these things out. And with the help of some needle nose pliers, I got it in, I glued it in. And I'm who knew I'd be so excited about flying a tiny UMX GB plane, but I am.
And you tested it, right? It's working?
Yeah, it's all working. It's bound, and I took it to fly it. That's the other reason I went out there, but it was so windy, I thought this would be a bad idea. And then when I was driving home, I thought I have the phone numbers of some designers at Horizon. So I'm going to email them and just say, Carbon Z GB ... And then maybe we can have one next year. Because I want that.
Any GB is a good GB.
Yeah, give me a GB.
In fact, Christy doesn't even call them GBs. She calls them BGs.
BGs.
On purpose. So they're BGs. In fact, you should call all cows Normans from this point forward, and all GBs BGs. It's just that's actually really good.
Yeah, I have bulls respond to me when I do that. So I'm saying something. I also know how to say I'm hungry in cat.
Really?
That means I'm hungry in cat. Guarantee.
That's handy.
Never know when you're going to need that.
I would talk to my old cat all the time, and he would always reply. This new cat doesn't really, maybe he doesn't know the language. I don't know.
He's figuring it out.
He's a German cat.
Well, I love my new cat. Speaking of ER, I'm going to quickly share the story. Check this crazy stuff out, Lane. I get a call that my son is passed out face down in somebody's living room. You know, he's 15, so it wasn't like related to anything. And so I race over, take him to the ER. We run all those tests that you run when you think you might have got a concussion, right? Luckily, he passed all those. And he didn't remember anything prior to the accident. So I thought he fell and knocked himself out on a coffee table because he had to have stitches on his chin. He came right down on the corner of a coffee table, right? Listen to this. He says he remembers prior to passing out hitting his elbow super hard on this railing on the stairs. And he said that it hit his funny bone super hard. And 3 seconds later, everything went fuzzy and he went out.
Wow.
That's a new one.
So I Googled it, and it has happened where people have hit their funny bone or hit themselves in a nerve so hard that their system shuts off.
That's amazing.
Wow.
I did invite someone, and I did blindly invite them, and they are attempting to log on. And so let me just say this, Lee, if this is something you'd rather do next week with prep, feel free to do that. If not,
there's nothing better than blindly inviting someone on the show. This is awesome. Please tell me he had no idea he was coming on until you said, hey, come on.
I sent a link and said, hey, we're having a discussion. If you want to talk, click this link. And so one thing, yeah, there he goes. So one thing that you have to have when you come on the show is a camera and a mic. So he might not have these. I said, definitely next week. I invited Lee Ray, the co-host of RC Roundtable, to the show.
Yeah, I think you should randomly pick a live listener from this week, and then next week bring them on just to see what they got to say.
Maybe we could do it in the live chat right now.
Well, yeah, I mean, you can. use this. Okay, that's good too. Pull somebody out of the live chat. I like it. And
You
while you're
know,
looking at that, what's that thing that you've got, Jason? You're killing me. Your thing with
wait,
no harm.
Jason, Casey Neistat. Okay, he's worked with me before and did an exclusive review for us. But
Really?
yeah, he did a DJI release for us. He did the first. Remember when somebody else borrowed our review and I kind of lost my mind?
Oh, that was him?
Yeah, that was him.
Wow. I didn't know that.
Yeah, so I've worked with him, but I went just last week to see what is it that he does that makes him so famous. And I got to tell you, I don't get it. I don't know what he does.
He's just good at marketing.
I guess so.
And being crazy on videos.
He does fly quads where he shouldn't. So.
Yeah.
If you're thinking of pulling somebody out of the live chat, anybody who's in the live chat that has a microphone and a camera, say so that Jim can choose someone.
Then send me. Then if you feel okay about it, put your email in the chat, and then I can get you that way. Hey, for the next segment, and we don't really have segments. I just said that. For the next segment, I want to say thank you to our podcast, YouTube, and podcast sponsor. That's a new thing. Hobby King at hobbyking.com. Jason Cole got a message in his email that said that something had been delivered to a house he doesn't even live at. So he drove across town.
I went and grabbed it off the porch.
And I'm going to hand it over to you, Jason.
It was actually for me, and they had just delivered it to the wrong house, wrong address, my old address, actually. So I didn't know what it was. I wasn't expecting anything. I picked it up. It was this tiny little box, not much bigger than this. And I'm like, what could this be? And I open it up, and it's the Rockstar from Basher. It's a Hobby King brand. It's a 1/24th scale mini rock crawler. And at first I'm like, okay, a toy truck, cool, right? But then I'm like, no, this is a serious micro crawler, 4-wheel drive, 4-wheel steering. And I am so impressed after playing with it. I'll just quickly show you. On the transmitter here, there's a mode button right in the middle, right there. And that allows you to change steering modes on the fly while you're driving. So
I thought that was a mood button.
You can go
the colors.
mood
lighting,
disco. It's my birthday. Is that from Thor Ragnarok? Push that button. Anyway, all right. So back to the truck. So it's got front wheel only steering, rear wheel only steering, front and rear together for crabs, and then front and rear opposite for really tough turns.
Hold on. What if you don't want to get that?
You don't want crabs? Just don't go into that mode, and you'll be fine.
Noted.
I do want to share the video here.
Mood lighting and crabs. Wow. They've gone all out.
Let me do this. Share screen. Because I was incredibly impressed with the performance of it. Here we go. All right. So you're seeing what I'm seeing. So it's got a ton of suspension travel. It's only $88. And then I guess I'm going to let the sound from the video play. Maybe not. Let me do this. Did that go full screen for you guys?
Yes.
Okay, cool. I'm going to skip forward here. Yada, yada, yada. All right. So this is my house. We're climbing up the stairs. First, I was like, holy crap, I can't believe it can do that.
Also, nice house.
Thanks, man. And then this is like incredibly steep coming off the railing.
The suspension on that thing really looks good.
It is amazing. And then I was like, okay, I was like trying to figure out a course. I was like, all right, I'm going to do a wall ride. And I probably I did this course 2 days ago, practicing just a few times, and I did it like great every time. And then when we tried to shoot the video, I just kept messing up. And like this was probably like the 7th or 8th take. I was trying to get one continuous shot through the course without having to cut, just because I thought it'd be cool. So here's the crab mode. Isn't that awesome?
It's not even itching.
That's crazy.
It is so cool. And then you got 4-wheel steering here. You can make a really tight radius turn.
What's this thing cost?
It's $88, man.
FPV.
I say it needs a camera.
It runs on a 2-cell 350 JST connector.
Is that full speed?
That's full speed. Well, essentially, yeah, pretty much. It's not fast. It's a crawler. It's made to do this kind of stuff. And then I had some leftover shoe base quarter round, from my other house and my new house. And I was like, I'm making some rails. So it worked great.
You should have had the wife lay down and run over her or something.
Yeah, well, she's filming, so that would have been tough.
Well, that'd have been okay. I mean, she can do that. I'm sure she's got skills.
So, but this was great. This is incredibly steep, guys.
Hey,
I was like, what? How is
and
this?
You'll see later that was not a one taker.
No. But look at this thing. It actually is just like a mini tent scale. It's so impressive on the performance of what it can crawl over and how it just handles. And the steering options were just a lot of fun to play with.
You told me before that you dyed that box.
I painted it black. I just painted it.
That's Lane made that, by the way, everybody.
There you go.
Right in the box.
So here's some. I put some bloopers at the end. So if you want to see this whole thing, go to our YouTube channel, watch the video or the reviews on RCGroups. I was like, oh, we got this. Nope.
If you want to see more videos like this, hit the subscribe button and like us.
Or send random spam emails to me.
I kind of left this in there. You guys know that I don't really cuss. Like I just wasn't raised to do that. Just not something I do. Anyway, so I say son of a biscuit a lot.
Oh yeah, I thought you were cussing.
Yeah, I left it in there just because I thought it was hilarious. But one time it falls, I go son of a biscuit, but the chair had stopped recording right before the biscuit. So it was like son of a biscuit. I just left it.
It was funny.
Anyway, okay.
Should have cussed when that motor almost hit you at Seth last year, 2 years ago.
Seriously, that was gross. All right, check this out. This is a 14-foot drop all the way down. The chair was cracking up. Wow. I was like, I was looking at the mode button because I was getting ready to change to the 4-wheel steering to make that turn, and I just stopped looking at the truck for a second. Nice. And then there we go, all the way to the hardwood floor. Didn't break a thing on it. I was super impressed. So anyway, it's a lot of fun. I know it's only $88. It's a little toy truck, but it's actually a really impressive rock crawler for micro stuff.
Did you do that whole video in one day, like today?
Yeah, I did actually. Well, we shot it last night, and then I edited today.
Nice.
So there we go. That's the Basha Rockstar.
So now we need to get a hold of Castle Creations and get some upgraded motors.
Well, they're brushed. They're like little slot car kind of motors. I don't know. You can't really see it. You can kind of see one.
2 motors?
It's got 2 motors. 2 little slot car style. I don't know if they're 180s or what, but brushed motors. But, I mean, suspension travel is just ridiculous.
That's cool. We should build a real one of those.
Yeah, I would love to have a real one.
Yeah, let's do that. Let's get Jim's old golf cart and go ahead and build one.
Oh. I might have someone put on the show.
Oh,
I won't be here next week, FYI. Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm going on vacation Tuesday.
Wait, am I going to be here next week? I should look. I'm going on a cruise pretty soon.
Yeah, man. Oh, hey. You guys ever get that? Hi, this is Ann phone call.
Yeah. Oh my God. I'm not gonna do anything to Ann, but she calls me from every state.
All you got to do is
block enough of those numbers and get rid of them.
No, you talk to them, and your goal is to make them hang up on you.
Well, they just leave you a number. Like it's a recorded message, and they're like, yada, 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 yada. Here, call this number.
Look, I got a call about my extended warranty the other day on the work phone. And I tried to get an extended warranty. And so it says, if you want to talk to somebody, da-da-da. So I hit 1, and I wait, and they put me on hold. And I'm sitting at work on the work phone. And finally, somebody comes on, and she goes, how you doing, sir? We just need to verify your who you are or whatever. Can you tell me the make and model of your vehicle? And I said, yes, it's a 2009 EC-145 Airbus helicopter. Ma'am, are you still there? I was like, really? That was that easy. Apparently they won't do a warranty on a helicopter. So
I went into the vet yesterday with one of those little boxes, and I told her that I had a pet possum named Bitey, and I needed to get some sort of shot. And the one lady knew I was joking, but the other lady obviously had no sense of humor and was trying to make sense of it all.
I don't have an option for this on my computer.
Well, were you that bored?
Me? Oh,
yeah.
No, I do it all the time. You should be my wife. You should.
No thanks.
She has to put up with.
There's a lot of things in this life I'd like to do. Being your wife, probably not one of them.
Oh, it's a laugh a minute until you've heard every story 30 times.
It's
like this podcast.
You've met Christy. Could you imagine what that poor woman goes through dealing with me on a daily basis?
Okay, you come to Nashville and then have Christy and my wife sit around and talk to each other, and I bet they would hit it right off.
I bet they would, and I believe that your wife would do what everyone does, and she would call Christy a saint.
There you
Or
go.
vice versa.
It could be. Maybe they just, this could be bad, actually.
I did invite Yarsmythe to I sent him a link to the live broadcast, but I did that via PM, so it may take a minute. I really want to show Lane my video I sent you this morning, Jason, but it doesn't really pertain to the podcast, and it's very off topic. Maybe I'll send it to him on his phone. That's what I'll do.
What's wrong with off topic? I mean, sometimes it's interesting.
It's personal and gun related. So.
Oh, perfect. Yes, definitely send that to me.
But you know how you mod an airplane? You get an airplane and you mod the crap out of it to make it the most ultimate thing ever.
Yes.
Yeah, I did that for my life. It's awesome.
Nice. Well, I have a friend of mine named Corey Luth, and Corey lives in Nebraska. Known him since high school. Corey's pretty big into RC, always has been, and he rebuilt a SIG. I think it's that mini biplane. I don't know. You probably saw pictures of it on most of the Facebook pages for RC stuff. What is that thing called? The Smith mini biplane or something? You know what I'm talking about?
I'm not sure.
He just redid one. Pretty good sized airplane too. I'd guess probably 60, 70 inch wingspan biplane. Anyway, as you know, I have no time to do anything. I'm so stupid busy every day, whether it's at work or whether I'm at home doing my stuff there. So I asked Corey, I got a friend of mine who passed away a couple of weeks ago, and a month or two before he died, he came over and offered me his 33% ultimate for a ridiculous price. And of course, I mean, I didn't know that he was only going to be around another month or two, but of course I bought it from him. We actually did a trade kind of thing, and but it's in rough shape, so I don't have time to fix it. So I gave it to my friend Corey and said, "Here, can you fix this for me?" He offered to do it for nothing but the cost of materials, which he doesn't know it yet, but that's not going to happen. He's getting paid. That's a lot of airplane to recover and
yeah,
work.
Man.
Yeah. It's got a Bryson 5.8 on it. I've never had one of those engines.
Wow.
It's a 95 cc. Oh, wow. So, but anyway, he's redoing it for me. He's got it all stripped down already. So if you look at like what the Facebook pages, RC Airplane Anonymous and the Builders one, and there's a whole bunch of different Facebook pages. You'll see this this big ultimate that Corey is redoing for me, and you can kind of keep track of what's going on and as he goes through it for me. So, kudos to my buddy Corey Luth for doing this airplane for me, because I just don't have time, and I really want to fly it because it's kind of an important airplane.
A big bird like that might be right up your alley, Lane. You know, kind of Moparish.
Yeah, and I can ride on it. I'm a little guy.
Well, you know, you have a lot of chickens.
Yeah, that's true. The chickens are out of control. I need to do another Facebook Live about chickens.
Will PETA come after you if you put a chicken in an airplane? It technically has wings.
Well, they've already got the animals on animal crackers released.
Oh, wow.
Did you see that?
No.
Yeah, you know the Barnum animal crackers, the little box that's got the lion and the giraffe and the zebra and stuff on the front? Well, for all these years, they've been in a little cage because it represents a zoo. Yeah, they went crazy, filed a lawsuit, and they had to change the front of the box. And somebody put a thing on Facebook saying that, well, this is great. Now the lion can, slaughter that zebra.
That's so stupid.
The lion will lay with the lamb.
That's right. So anyway,
you know,
tree huggers.
You get older and you think, oh, I'm going to die at some point. But when stuff like this happens, I realize that's why you get old and die. Because the people that come, you know, the younger generation, you don't want to see all that. We ain't got time for that silliness, you know. Crazy.
It's a bit ridiculous.
So
that's okay.
Let me share this with you. Basically, this thing I got is a case, and it's a Hernandi, and it has RFID tags. And so the RFID tag in this bracelet is right here, right?
Mm-hmm.
So and then what you do is you just wave your arm and it opens up.
Huh.
Right. So what's going to happen is this is going to get cut out of here. I'm going to make myself a pretty nice leather bracelet that's manly. And then that'll be on me. And then if I ever need to get into anything, I just wave my hand in front of it.
That's pretty cool.
It is very cool.
It looks awesome too. Yeah.
Yeah, and see, I just.
Oh, is it me or is it Lane?
Lane, are you there?
Lane, we lost your audio, bro.
Oh,
Audio.
There we go.
Yeah. So I just have weapons randomly scattered about my house. Put it this way: never ever break into my house.
Yes.
It would be a bad day for you. So,
I was thinking, I'm sure that most people just put them in the corner.
Well, okay. Beside my bed is a 41 Magnum, courtesy of our good buddy Bill Bullock.
Yeah.
Yeah,
nice.
Me and him made a trade. I got a Ruger Red Hawk 41 mag. That's beside the bed. Christy has a 22 SIG on her side of the bed. There's an M4 in the corner, and then if you go towards the door, there's a 7.62. It's kind of a AK-47 type. It's called a Vepr. And then there's a 12 gauge semi-auto sitting there. Go into the living room, and there's a 9mm, and then by the door is another shotgun in the closet there. So
I'd say you're retro.
Yeah, you don't want to. And my son, in his room, he's got his 22 rifle and his 20 gauge. My 16-year-old. So
I'd say duck. Hey, we're going to jump topics here. I might figure out, we might even cut this video right here and make this a separate piece. Let's see where we get with this. I want to introduce everyone to Lee Ray, the co-host of the RC Roundtable. What's happening, Lee?
Hey, can y'all hear me okay?
Yes, sir.
Welcome.
Hey, thank you.
So, Lee, we were just discussing a little DeFazio information. And the one thing that I'm being very careful about is I want to make sure I understand all the points before I issue any sort of story or article or create any kind of jeopardy for us as hobbyists. But my question to you is, what have your findings been? I know we're both on the same quest as of recently.
Yeah, first I'm going to thank you guys for having me on the show. You guys always talk about RC groups, and we're big fans. And Jim, thanks for also joining, the little group to get together to see what we can do to save this hobby. For me, I just like you said, we are just kind of getting some of this information. And I think Jim and I are on the same page. We're kind of wondering why we're not hearing more from the AMA, and we'd like them to. And we understand they're doing some things behind closed doors, trying to make sure they're doing their best not to ruffle too many feathers so they can be heard properly. But there isn't a lot of information. And I think you said the same thing. The YouTube guy XJet produced this video that was shared like wildfire on Facebook, and a lot of people saw it. And it brought us attention to these little meetings. And it was not a round table. It was really one-sided. It felt very directed by DeFazio. In fact, if you listen to it, and I've watched the whole thing several times, he's leading every person on the other side of that table
and correcting the course. When Bill Schuster, that is the guy who spoke positively about hobbyists, when he went in there, immediately they pull it back into commercial drone use.
Yeah, and he was doing the right thing. He was saying, well, let's talk about the model hobbyists, and DeFazio wanted nothing of it. I'll be honest, guys, I don't feel like the John Taylor, the person who has really dived in to understand like what laws we have to protect us. He's had legal support. I am just a hobbyist like many of you right now. I've been doing this for 40 years. It is my passion. As my RC tagline says, RC enthusiast. We're all lifers in this, and I'd hate to see it go, especially because I have two young sons that do this hobby with me. And I think some of the restrictions they want to put on us are insane. They do nothing to stop it. Let's even go back. It's like the registration. Nothing that the registration database does for the FAA or what they report it does can stop what they are fearing or what they're threatening people with, I guess you could say. We're trying to just maintain our hobby like it has been this whole time. Nothing we do has changed, especially as a fixed wing pilot, as myself. We have been doing the same thing. It's other people who are not following the laws. If they want to address that, let's focus on laws like that. DeFazio wants nothing of it. If you've watched the video, he has a right to be upset about the fire events, people flying drones or any type of emergency event. Please, guys, don't be dumb. Don't do things like that and fly at a club or something. But yeah, I support him 100%. But to put these remote ID tags on aircraft, to restrict the altitude, to really kind of ignore CBOs. I mean, I think it's really, in my opinion, we have to stop that. That we have to make our presence known. The petition I started is small right now. I know. I love the comments though, Jim. Thank you for sharing it. I've been reading some of the people's comments. A lot of people are signing in. A lot of people are hesitant, but you know what? We're now having this conversation. You know, you are helping spread the word. So we definitely need to get DeFazio to be aware that there are hobbyists concerned. We need to support people like Schuster. And this is for me, I'm a long AMA member. I've been a member since the early 80s. You still have to support them. They are really trying to do their job. I'm sure there are things that we want them to do that maybe they're hesitant, but as the hobbyists, don't give up on them.
Let's invite DeFazio over for dinner.
Well, someone mentioned that. I'm not against that. People have said, let's talk to these congressmen. Let's take them to the events. In fact, Jim, I'm not sure if you were aware, or if any listeners here, a good friend and co-host, Terry Dunn, their club has been sued by some neighbors. And the AMA is supporting them legally. The AMA is supporting them financially and with legal support to help defend their club, which these neighbors are trying to shut down. This club has been there for years, you know, and it's one or two neighbors who are complaining about noise. And this club, I'm not a member, and I just know what Terry says, but they actually have a DB monitor to test all the aircraft that members bring in. So they're following the rules. They're trying to help out the neighbors. But you get one or two people to just have a lawsuit, and it's very sad and unfortunate. So they've had to defend themselves, and you know, they're hopefully going to win. But those are the kind of things we're fighting, you know. So,
yep, our club went all electric many years ago. So I'm all electric now. But I noticed that our petition, or the petition, had 2,000 before the email. Now we're at 8,200. So that was a big jump.
What is that, 8,000 now? Are you sure you're looking at mine? I saw 4,000 today, but I haven't hit the refresh key. Magic can happen.
8,200 to get a response from the White House. Needs 97 in September. Maybe I'm. Oh no, you're right. They've got three numbers here: 4,286 signed. That's
you know, it was a good feeling for a second.
Sorry,
my name's on there.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you. Hey, by the way, we have. Do you know Lane from Lane's Plains, Lee?
I do not. Hi, Lane.
Hi, Lee. I don't think we've ever met in person.
Lane was the star of the Crashcast podcast, one of the, if not the earliest, the first podcast. And Lane is a full-scale helicopter pilot who does life flight missions on a daily basis and could leave at any moment to save someone's life. Lane, what are your feelings about drones and you being a full-scale heli pilot on a daily?
I think honestly, I think it's generally overrated. And what I mean by that is, I mean, at full speed, if I'm cruising between point A and point B, generally speaking, I mean, I have to be over 300 feet, but most of the time I'm going to be at 1,000 feet or higher, most of the time. Anytime I'm lower than that, generally it's conditions that people probably aren't going to be out playing with their Phantom in anyway, or flying an airplane, that fact. So it's in other words, big sky, little drone, okay? There's very, very little chance of me having to worry about hitting, you know, a drone, so to speak, a quadcopter, a multi-rotor. The exceptions to that, obviously at a scene, coming into land, for example, I'm coming into land, well, like a couple weeks ago when I got called out in the middle of the show to land in the middle of a baseball field. And I come in, I land, and as I did my recon around the area prior to coming into land to, you know, check out what all the obstacles are, get winds, etc., I notice about 15 kids sitting on a pickup truck about 200 yards away. And they're just sitting there watching. They're kids. They're curious. They want to see the helicopter. It makes perfect sense. But in that situation, so I'm coming into land. Let's say there is somebody with a Phantom or something similar, and it does get into my way. What damage is it really going to cause to my aircraft? I mean, it could take out a blade, you know, it theoretically could take out an engine, could take out a tail rotor. So it could be catastrophic, but those odds are extremely slim of that happening. And so I think it's blown out of proportion. The other side is the first time it happens and it is catastrophic, then that's when the problem comes. So I think the I think it's blown out of proportion as to, if you do a risk analysis, a risk matrix, you're going with probability of something happening versus what the outcome is. Is it minor? Is it major? Or is it catastrophic? And so when you do that whole matrix for a drone, for example, hitting a full-scale aircraft, you're looking at unlikely but it could possibly be catastrophic, which then would make it somewhere around a moderate risk. So it's kind of a big deal. The other side, it's kind of not. In my line of work, it's probably more of a big deal, or in a firefighting aircraft, it's probably more of a big deal than it would be in your normal commercial, jet or airplane or something like that, just because of the altitudes and the places that we're flying and we're doing our jobs.
But we can also look at the bird strike and what's the probability of that versus a drone versus, so
right. And
there's a lot more birds in the air.
My friend Doug just a year ago hit a Canadian goose at 130 knots, and it came right through the windscreen, down right by feet by the anti-torque pedals. Came right through the windscreen and made a really disgusting mess of the helicopter. Had it been 3 feet higher and come through the windscreen, right. And it's happened a lot of times to a lot of people. It can be deadly if you hit a large bird like that. But you're more likely to hit a bird, especially in the area where I'm flying, than you ever will be any kind of unmanned aircraft.
Right.
Lee, is that your petition?
Yes, it is.
You create that? Looks like we're getting a lot of people getting JavaScript errors on it. I don't know if there's an issue on the government's end, but it's not accepting new names at this time for that petition. It's coming up with errors. I just tried it, and we're getting same reports from the live chat.
Is it the DeFazio bug?
Yeah.
That's what we're calling it.
Conspiracy.
I got to tell you, Lee, I really dig your haircut.
Hey, thank you. Thank you very much.
So
I need to do that.
What's your game plan? Did I read that you're going to do a DeFazio-based podcast soon?
Well, I always have I'm the complainer of the trio of mine. I don't know how you guys label yourselves. I'm sure each of you. I do the venting, but I do have Lee's Corner, and I vent about the 336 and the FAA, and so the last few episodes we have. In fact, we had one episode where we had to make a separate, pull it out of the podcast. It was just getting a little too heated, I guess. But no, we're going to keep this up. I'm never going to stop mentioning it in every podcast we have. I'll try to keep it simple and to the point and let people know what we've learned. But this is all coming pretty quickly. I guess within the last month is when we've really been hitting this hard. We've got to continue asking people to first, don't give up. If you love this hobby, if you're a lifer, stay in it. Email your congressman. In fact, this kind of all started after I watched that video and then pulled up a letter from the CDA. Ooh, Lane, you don't like saying drone. I don't like saying CDA. But they had a terrible article out there. It made me just grit my teeth, and I immediately picked up the phone and called Chad Boudreau with the AMA. And I said some things that said, hey guys, you got to step up your game. You need to ask for different money. You need to get different lobbyists. There's a new video out we just posted on our RC Roundtable Facebook page that Terry Dunn found that introduces a really nice guy. I just saw it today, who says this is where the money trail is. And boy, you learn about the CDA and you say, man, there's a lot of dollars in this company to shut us down. I know there's some regulations that need to be done. And in behalf of Lane, who fly full-scale aircraft, I am worried about those people. But I don't know about you guys. If you see someone doing something dumb or stupid at your field, you stop them, right? I mean, you say, guys, that's not safe. Don't fly over people.
In my defense, I'm usually the one doing something dumb.
You only almost hit me in the head twice.
Don't do that. But the PSA that needs to come out needs to go to everybody. If the FAA is going to spend that $5 wisely, whatever it's going to be in the future, they need to stop making it sound like everybody's a threat. They need to make sure they explain to people, or find a better way to do it. I think there's a solution, guys. I feel like the CDA and the DeFazios are working fast to just shut 336 down so that we don't have anything to stand on anymore. The fact that John Taylor lost his case because the FAA snuck in that line item in the defense bill, that says they now own all the UAS, or they're in charge of all the UAS. We had no say. It's just like that roundtable meeting. We weren't invited. And so, guys, if you listen to this and you're in this hobby and you love it as much as I do, and these gentlemen, don't give up. Talk to your clubs, talk to your members.
Would you agree, Lee, that it's more of an education issue than it is anything else? If you can educate the people who are flying these off-the-shelf type things that have no AMA experience, no model airplane experience, et cetera, these, the Best Buy guy who lives in downtown Manhattan that goes and buys a Phantom or something. That's the guy we're having a problem with. It's not the guys like you and Jason and me who've been building and flying model aircraft for years.
Yeah, and it's that wonderful term, we're being all shoved under the bus. One big stroke. Lane, you'll appreciate this because you're a gun guy. Obviously, I heard your story. There was a time when gun safety was taught, I think, in schools.
I was taught it in school.
Yeah, it was just because it was common sense. It was okay, let's not let people shoot each other or shoot their foot, or, and it was just common practice. And then it became scary talk, so they took it out. And I think it's the same thing with, I don't like saying the word drone, so I'm going to say multi-rotors. People who go out and buy these toys because they look exciting, and I've seen the people who have opened one out of a box, hit the throttle, it goes flying away. You need to find a better way to educate these people and say, look, we have people like emergency crews and commercial airlines and private pilots. Fly at your club, fly at an open field, fly at this altitude, be safe, follow the CBO rules, and be a better pilot. And because we're not getting to share that because it's all scary with drones, it's a weak link.
And to me, it seems like the answer is not in the user, but in the product itself. So with the new Mavic 2, which I know how far a Mavic 2 can go, why isn't there an ID built into that? And if you want to control things like that, then go ahead and force the manufacturer to put that in the software before it hits the shelves. As
a manufacturer, I think that's a bad idea. Okay, so let's say you want an FPV CUDA, like this one right here, and now you're going to require me to put some device on this that I can't afford to purchase. Now, I'm not saying that DJI can't do it, obviously, but what are you going to do about something like this? It's still going to be a problem.
The question is, who are they really leveling this at? And I think they're leveling it at DJI type companies that are creating these things out of the box that Joe Consumer can't buy a CUDA and go fly, but he certainly can buy a Mavic and go fly it.
Joe Consumer can try. It won't end well. Yeah, I agree with you. And as long as they focus on that, then I really have no issue with them regulating, for example, the DJI Phantoms and the out of the box, ready to fly stuff any Joe Schmo can go fly in his backyard or on the approach path to runway 13 into Aberdeen, South Dakota. I have no problem with that. But it's the rest of us, and we're getting lumped into that same group.
Yeah. That's the problem.
What are y'all's thoughts? I'd like to hear from each of you. What are your thoughts on, let's say, and because that kind of goes with the FPV, but let's say restricting line of sight / GPS / waypoint driven aircraft, putting them under a different regulation versus those who, and that's, I'm going to include myself here, fixed wing aircraft at a field.
Well, fixed wing versus, like you said, line of sight versus GPS versus et cetera, and anything that's GPS operated, honestly, depending on, I guess, its capabilities, should probably be regulated in general, and because technically it's a UAS at that point. It's an unmanned aerial system that is capable of long range, high altitudes, highs. It's all relevant, and yeah, there should be some form of regulating on that. But again, we have the AMA came out with their rule that you had to have a spotter if you were doing FPV. And guess what? That solves that problem of FPV if you actually have a spotter. But then again, how many people are actually flying with a spotter? I mean, you see it continuously. People are out there flying their quads or their airplanes or whatever with no spotter. Fine, you're doing it long range. Well, the spotter would do you no good long range. So should there be a rule? I don't know. Should there be a rule GPS versus line of sight? Line of sight, what problem are you causing, generally speaking? Because if there is a full-size aircraft, which is generally what we're concerned about, if there's a full-scale aircraft in the vicinity, you're going to hear it, you're going to see it, and you can get out of their way. I mean, that's just common sense. We say it's common sense, but again, common sense isn't that common anymore. So again, the problem isn't us. The problem is the people who do not have the education, do not have the experience. And we just have to find the way to educate them. Maybe put them in my helicopter and send them on a mission with me. They'll figure it out quick. They'll be like, oh, crap.
Well, the dividing line there is AMA members versus non-AMA members. And the AMA members tend to be the hobbyists, and non-AMA members tend to be the people that went to Best Buy, bought it, crashed it, and returned it, and bought it, and got another one.
Sure.
So that's the line.
If you've noticed it, I went to Best Buy, God, it's been probably a year ago, and right there with the DJI Phantom, there was a card for the AMA. It might have been on the box or right beside it, I don't remember, saying join the AMA. Okay, great. So they joined the AMA. Are you required to read the bylaws? Are you required to read the regulations before you punch that button and say you're going to be a member? No. Are you required to follow those rules? Well, theoretically, but the safety code, if you don't care, you don't care. So if you make it a rule that you must be a member of the FA or the AMA, all you're going to do is make the AMA look bad, because those people who already don't care are now going to be AMA members out there doing stupid things because they still have not read and still have not been educated. So you can say, you know, an AMA member, you know what? Have you ever read the entire everything involved with the AMA?
I at least know what I'm not supposed to do.
I do too, because people have told me, quit doing that. Anyway, but I've never read it all. I mean, most of us haven't. I would venture to say that 95% of the AMA members have never read everything involving as far as the rules and what they do and et cetera, et cetera. So, you know, the AMA, yeah, it's a good thing. And if you want to fly at a field, you know, an AMA field, you have to be an AMA member, and that's a good thing. But making people be an AMA member wouldn't solve anything. There has to be a class. I don't know. If you want to fly anything that has the capability or they went with the weight rule. Maybe the weight, maybe the performance, maybe the range of the thing. I don't know. They have the thing with don't some of these new aircraft, they won't allow you to fly them in certain places. It's built into the aircraft.
Geofencing.
Yeah,
that's it. Yeah, and they have that with some of these things. That's got to be expensive. So
it's just software.
Well, but the other side is, take a small company like, let's go to Multi-RC. They were making the HMB 235, you know, little quad and some other things. Can they afford to take that software and put it into their equipment? I mean, that's a super small company. That was 2 guys working out of their shop at home. And they made a lot of quads. Crash with his OPQ. That's one dude in his garage, you know, selling a quad. And is he going to be able to afford to add this software into his equipment?
Well, I think you're on the hobby side of the problem, and I think the real problem is the giant amount of money that wants to pave right over our faces, so that they can make their own money.
Highway, yeah. Skyways.
Yep. Yes, they want our airspace. That's just how it is.
Well, and I believe that there are a lot of factors. Definitely, I think there is a safety concern. That's a priority. I do not want to see an accident happen. I know it'll be disastrous, but as you mentioned, Jim, we've had more bird accidents and crashes than any multi-rotor. Notice I was trying not to say drone, but it might happen. But we need to find. This conversation is great. I really am excited about this. I'm going to try to get more people like you guys together to talk. But we need to go from I'm an AMA member. You can't do anything to me, okay? Because some people are in that stance, to people over here saying we hate any aircraft. We're the CDA. We want these highways. People need their delivery pizzas. We're this far apart because this is no hobby. This is too much. You know, you're taking advantage of it. We need to find it. I mean, I hope it's a waiver on this side, but we need to find that compromise. And this is it's a think tank. That's exactly what we're doing right now. Jason, have you, I don't know if you responded. Any of your thoughts on where we stand right now?
I'm concerned, obviously. Now I'm a Part 107. I do multi-rotor aircraft commercially, occasionally. That's almost like a hobby.
I support that. I support Part 107. I think that's great.
Yeah.
I got my license too.
I have that, and I don't mind paying the $5 and registering as a hobbyist and doing that. That wasn't a problem for me. The concern for me is we at RC Group saw a noticeable downturn in attendance at events and participation in the hobby, in the industry as a whole, once the FAA implemented that registration system. People
And
got scared, they didn't want to do it. They just stopped flying and just left. And
Can you
that's
imagine what it'd be like? Yeah, can you imagine what it's going to be like if there's an FAA exam?
yeah, it's going to be terrible. So
they'll
that
kill it
concerns me for the industry. You know, the manufacturers, the hobbyists that are just going to say it's not worth it and move on, and then miss out on all this amazing stuff that we get to do.
And I have this DeFazio story, but I'll never change DeFazio. He's only going to respond to the people that vote for him and the money people that pay him. And so I think it's maybe better to delete the whole DeFazio story and look at Bill Schuster and let everyone know who he is, what he said, and why we support him, and let him tell us how we can support him in more ways. Because I could list DeFazio's phone number and we could call that guy 24/7, but I don't know that it's going to help anything. You know?
Focus on the good, not the bad.
Yeah.
Well, I'd like to think we could change his mind. I mean, I had, when we had our podcast and we were talking about it, both Terry and Fitz were like, "Don't compromise, Lee. You can't be given in yet." And I would like to compromise in some. There are things that we might be able to address with him to find a better answer. But the exam is no good. It's not. It's going to turn off kids. So with the registration database still intact with the 13-year-old, limit. You've got these kids. I mean, I'm a Boy Scout Scoutmaster since Scoutmaster. I've always wanted to teach the aviation thing, but you get this point where these kids are under 13, they can't get their registration on their own. It serves no purpose. So there's got to be a compromise. And I would love, in my heart, I would love for the AMA to be the solution. To say, if you were a member of the AMA, and that's just me, I don't know if it's the right solution, but if you were a member of the AMA and you have your AMA card, exemption. Only because I don't know of anybody, and I'm going to go back to Lane in a second. I don't know of anybody in our hobby who's an AMA member that has caused a severe panic in this industry. Correct. Unlike people who are NRA members. I'm an NRA
you obviously
member.
You don't spend a lot of time with me at events.
Well, even when you're raising hell 3 feet off the ground.
I see nothing.
You're not trappy going to New York City and starting the whole mess.
Right. And that's what I was going to say. Now, wasn't he an AMA member?
I doubt it.
I honestly don't know, but what's to say he wasn't?
He was an RC Group's member, but he isn't anymore.
Right. So, just because, and like I said, it's AMA members generally don't cause the problem. I get that. But the other side is, people, driver's licenses, does that stop people from speeding and running stop signs? Of course not.
Right.
So I don't know what the answer is.
Yeah. Well, we need to go for the individual and not just everybody who flies. Because right now, I think the other issue is the CDA is saying, we're going to get rid of all these people flying their toys, and we're going to bring in our toys. You see what I'm saying? Right. So they're still putting.
And they're going to take my 16-year-old. They're going to take my kid's job because he delivers pizzas.
Well, they'll take out a whole industry. They'll take out a hobby and an industry.
Because here's the thing. Let's say DeFazio gets his way. God forbid. DeFazio gets his way. This hobby just kind of shuts down. We get all these little drone deliveries, and we start having accidents with drone deliveries because it was a minor malfunction, or it was a software glitch, and then you're hit by something, or someone else is injured. Do we just say, okay, that was no big deal? I mean, because we're raising our hands, saying, guys, for the past 50, 60 plus years, we've never done stuff like that. And now it's common space because you got rid of us. And we could be part of the solution to say, you know what, why don't you come to the people who've been flying for years and train and teach and tell people when they're being dumb, please don't fly that quadcopter over my family here in the middle of the park.
Yeah.
It's always good to learn from somebody with experience.
I cannot imagine a time when there's going to be a corridor in the sky where drones are coming and going. It just seems totally unrealistic.
Yeah.
They're fighting for a thing that I can't even imagine will ever really happen.
Yeah. It is really silly at the heart of it.
But when you get into the big scale, okay, I've got a very good friend of mine who owns a business that makes unmanned aerial systems. And we're talking, big 15-foot wingspan, long range, long duration aircraft. Very, very impressive, actually. In fact, I've done laser cutting for him, which is pretty cool. And the things that he has gone through with the FAA and a million other, military and a bunch of other government things to get his permissions to be able to just do the testing and whatnot. And now they've got contracts with a ton of different places and whatnot. But it's phenomenal what they have gone through with that. But again, you're talking about something, maybe 60 pounds, 80 pounds that can fly, up to 10, 12,000 feet and go 150 miles away. Should it be regulated? Hell yeah, it should be regulated. I don't want, a guy like me trying to do that crap out of my garage, because trust me, I would. But then you get down to something like a Phantom, for example. Yeah, it can cause a lot of problems in a very small scale in a small area. So there needs to be something. I just don't know what it is. And where do you draw the line?
My final thoughts are, when all this started, and you had some of the older pilots saying the AMA should not lump themselves in with these DJI pilots. They are not the hobby. I was one of the guys who said that is an old school line of thought that I don't agree with. I was into DJI, not just that particular company. I was into quadcopters / drones. My favorite style of flying right now is FPV. It's really all I care about. But if it's going to jeopardize the hobby, I'm happy to regulate that side if they would leave the line of sight and the winged aircraft and the people that are flying on a field at a certain height within visual distance. If they will leave us alone, I will let them regulate me on something that should be regulated.
I'd agree with that.
Yeah, I'm with Jim. We had a conversation in the past, and that's how I feel, because that's how I've been flying. That's how I've been flying safely. That's how I've been flying safely with all my other friends, the ones who are not the threat. As everybody's aware, every time they use the word drone on TV, on the FAA's website, it's a quadcopter or a multi-rotor. And I do support Part 107. In fact, I even thought about getting Part 107. I'm also a photographer, and I have a photography Facebook page, and I do a lot of RC events and stuff. So I was thinking that would be kind of nice to do that kind of work. And I would be willing to get my Part 107 to do that, like the news medias are and so forth. I fully support a Part 107. But this whole situation needs to be at that side of the table where people are flying these multi-rotor devices frequently and in paths of possible other aircraft, not those who are flying at clubs. So that's where I want to kind of spread the sea, divide the sea, and say, let's see if we can protect these people and work on making you feel safer over here.
So you do event coverage for photography?
I do.
Are you planning on going to Aberdeen, South Dakota on the 31st of?
Well, no. Most of my stuff is in Texas. Actually, this year has been fun.
You're in Texas?
With RC, I live in Texas.
Where?
I'm a native Texan. I currently live in Cypress. I grew up in a place called Alief in Southwest Houston.
I'm from Sherman, Texas, nowhere near Houston.
Yeah,
that's amazing. Texas. I'm from Waco, Nebraska.
not the Waco. But I've been traveling a lot. The RC Roundtable, we're doing much better now. So we've been traveling a lot, doing a lot of events. Terry just came back from Flight Fest up there in Ohio. Fitz and I are going to Flight Fest, Texas.
Yes, I'll see you there.
Oh, awesome. Okay, great.
We'll be one of the vendors.
Well, I'll be flying a very large Thunder and Lightning. Jim, do you know my aircraft, the Thunder and Lightning?
No.
Okay, guys, go look on your RC groups. That's my aircraft.
Okay.
A good friend of mine, and you might know him, Ben Warren.
Yes, of course I know Ben.
There you go. Ben Warren built that Thunder and Lightning for me. It's like 5 foot wingspan, maybe.
I got a challenge for you then. Since you're going to be at Flight Fest also, do you have a large vehicle for moving these things?
I have a Suburban.
You have a trailer?
I do not. Do I need a trailer?
Yes.
I can rent one.
Okay. So we've got, let's see, that's November, first weekend in November. Did you ever see my giant paper airplane? Jim, and I know Jim and Jason love that thing.
I saw it about this close.
Yeah. Did you ever see, it was 9 feet.
Was it at the Flight Fest? Was it in the Flight Fest video?
I had it at CEF about 3 years ago, maybe.
I'll look it up, but I mean, I have seen some big ones, so yeah, I'll take a look.
Well, this one it was 9 feet. Just had a 60 size type Outrunner mid-mounted. It had a real small prop slot, so it was really, really obnoxiously loud. It was great, and it had LEDs on it and a little bomb drop. Anyway, and a parachute. Had its own parachute for recovery. Anyway, you need to build a paper airplane out of that 1/2 inch or 3/4 inch or 1 inch foam insulation stuff.
Pink foam.
Yep, full length. So you just cut your shape and then use the rest of the parts for the rest of it and power it, and let's fly them.
Okay.
And,
all right.
And we'll race, and then at the end of the event, maybe we'll do combat. In fact, we should fly them in combat.
Well, maybe I'll take my Thunder and Lightning against you. I'll put a big streamer on mine, see if you can catch me.
Sounds good. I'll put my parachute on and I'll drag it behind me and just collect things.
I've made popcorn.
You guys need to come down to Flight Fest, Texas, Jim.
Hey, speaking of events, we have Fall Fest Fun Fly, McMinn County, and that's actually August 31st. That's here in Tennessee. And these are all on rcgroups.com. AJ Aircraft is having their event August 23rd. Is that now? Yeah, that's right now. So AJ's having a show. And Jason, you're leaving town next week. So I will see about getting some of our live viewers. Hey, live viewers, shoot me a PM on RC Groups, and maybe I can get a pile of you on the broadcast for next Thursday, and then we'll do the show that way. That might be interesting. Lee, I think you and I need to keep figuring out how we're going to do this. And then when we have more information and more thoughts put together, we should do a podcast just on this stuff. I
would love to do that. Thank you.
Yeah. And then Lane, I just want you to keep being an American badass and saving lives. That's all I really am asking of you.
That's it.
That's it.
Yeah. I want to do, but I can do so much more.
Now listen, I have a T-shirt that says American Badass, so I'll send you a link. I made it with you in mind.
Nice. I'm gonna have to get that. Okay. Can you do one with a helicopter on it?
I will see about that. This has a screaming skull with wings coming off its head.
That's cool. So when I do my 51, you've seen my 51 M37, right? My military truck.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Yeah, the big red monster. Because the plan is to build that yet this fall, so I can drive it to South Dakota for work in the winter. 6.5 hour drive in Nebraska and South Dakota kind of gets bad. So I figured I'd build that thing and drive it up here all winter long. So I need to paint it green and put American Badass on it?
American Badass, yes, sir.
Okay, why don't you design me some door art? Like a shop art for my. In fact, for my 69.
Do you want skulls on it or do you want helis?
Well, no, for the 69, I just want a shop logo thing to put on the door.
You got it.
For the 51, let's do some military stuff, man, and make it cool.
What year were you born?
Me, 74.
I'll put an established 1974 on there.
That's what I'm talking about. And you were born in what, 52?
Yeah, 65. I remember when Jim Morrison was still alive. That's how old I am.
You don't look a day over 70, Jim.
Oh, thank you. I'm starting to feel my age, but not too bad.
Well, your beard's not gray like mine.
In 74, it's all that clean living.
Ah, I see.
Yeah,
this has been a good show. I've enjoyed this.
Yeah, the live listeners have also been saying how much they enjoyed this show.
Yeah, all those guys going to Flight Fest, Texas, build a 9-foot. It ends up being 9 foot with the elevons, a 9-foot paper airplane, and bring it to Texas. Let's show Flight Fest what's going on. And then Aberdeen, South Dakota. I want to know who shows up to this show simply because they heard on here, go to Aberdeen, South Dakota, and go to that event.
I want a live feed out of there.
I know there's one guy who has already emailed me, and he's coming. And I've got his name somewhere. I'm not sure where right now. But anyway, so yeah, if you're going to the Aberdeen show, tell them Lane sent you and shoot me a message or an email or something, and you might win some Lane's Plains stuff.
And Jason, you want to go to the field tomorrow, like at 10?
Yeah, man. Let's do it.
Then do I need to go shoot today, or should I wait for you and you go with me tomorrow?
So for what now?
Go shooting after we fly.
Oh, go shooting guns?
Yeah.
I'm always down for that.
All right. Now I'll wait until tomorrow.
Do you have any guns, Jason?
Yeah.
Anything really cool?
He has a semi-auto AR style.
I've got the Smith & Wesson AR-1522. So it's an AR, but it's a 22.
Well, there's nothing wrong with that. I actually want one of those.
Yeah, we've got an over and under shotty, and I've got a 9mm and a 380 carry pistol.
Nice.
I don't tell anyone what I have. That's how my dad raised me.
There you go.
Well, all you have to say is you're from Texas.
Yeah, right. Seriously.
I went into State Farm Insurance, and the guy's like, "You're not carrying a weapon." So, well, everybody, I sure want to thank Lee and Lane for joining us. Thank you guys for taking time out of your day.
Thank you.
You bet.
Jason Cole, I want to thank you for taking time out of every day of your day. And you know what? It hit me when you were showing that video of your car driving around your house. That house was built by RC. How awesome is that?
That's right.
That's right.
If I could, I was going to say, Jason, I want to do a shout out for you. I really liked your little 10 reasons why I'm in this hobby.
Yeah.
I shared it. I shared it on our page. I've been wanting to do something like that. And if I could, hopefully the next week or two, I plan to do a little video with the hashtag Save336.
Yep.
I'll probably share your link and just say this is one of the ones that's out there. But I think everybody who is in this hobby, if we can get the hashtag Save336 out there, I'll be doing something like you did soon. And I'd love to see others from Jim and Lane as well.
Definitely.
I don't know how that hashtag thing works. I need to call my daughter. They do that, and I'm like, I don't know what this means.
Where is
maybe she'll even videotape it for you.
Well, it's like that. It's like that Me Too thing. All I see is pound Me Too.
Well, what it means is it's like a keyword. People can search it. People can go on Twitter or something, and if they find Save336, they'll see other people sharing the same story. So it's basically one word.
And
Jason,
everyone, join it. Hey, join us next week. Join us next week. We're going to teach Lane how to copy paste.
See, Jason got it. It's pound Me Too. Anyway,
Jason's turning red.
But no,
a funny bone. Jeez.
Well, don't pass out. You'll hurt yourself, and Jim will have to take you to the emergency room.
Oh, that's right.
6
Come get me.
stitches.
Hey, Jim, does your son fly?
You know what? The answer to that is no, but check this out. So my son has Asperger's, but he's super intelligent, like smarter than me, which maybe not be that hard, but he goes to online school. It's a 3-dimensional school. So there's every classmate has a 3-dimensional person that represents them, that walks around and does stuff. They have a 3-dimensional teacher and a 3-dimensional classroom, and they all have towers. So when they go to show their projects, they fly through the air into a tower, and it's all on these giant screens, and they do videos and JPEGs and text, and all that stuff. So this year, all that to say, his main class is, I don't think they call it drones, but he has received one in the mail, and it's and so I've been saving a bunch of things from reviews in the back for he and his best friend John. So it almost happened today, but we are going to head to the field and we're going to start flying quadcopters.
That is awesome.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Well, I'm lucky enough that my 16-year-old just picks up an airplane and starts flying it. I'm like, are you kidding me? It's not even fair. No training, no nothing.
Nah. Well, today I needed a cameraman, and I thought, man, if Truman could fly, I get him to fly this GB, and I could do the camera work, because shooting the camera is harder than flying the airplane usually, except in Jason's case. And then Jason's the plane talent. But if you've ever had to shoot a video for a review, it takes a while to understand exactly what you need to do. Yeah.
Well, my video person, usually I have to mute the sound or get rid of the sound in all my videos because I'm getting cussed at the entire time. Because they're like, would you fly normal? How am I supposed to keep up with this? You know, when you come across the field 150 or so, 3 feet, and then shoot straight up, they kind of, they lose it.
You gotta know when to zoom out. Jason does that. He'll be like, yeah, gone, you know. And then the flip side is we have club members. I literally have a guy farting on camera, and I'm like, we got to move farther away or something, because
that's awesome.
Killing me. Hey, to say that you, Scott, yes, I have multiple 1911s. It's my primary. I like single actions too. Everyone, join us next week. I have no idea what's going to happen. If we're lucky, somebody in that live chat is going to get me through PM, and I'm going to set up some of our live users, or not users, but our live viewers, and we'll hang out and just talk RC in general, which always goes a long way. And Lee and I are going to get back on here together in one way or the other and keep this conversation going. And Lane, we'll see you next time.
Yes, sir. Spin the big wheel, listeners.
See you at FlyFest.
Hell yeah. We're gonna
Thanks to our podcast YouTube sponsor, Hobby King, at hobbyking.com. I'm Jim T. Graham, your host, and now I'm going to hit the button that says stop broadcast.
Lanesplains.com.
RCGroups.com.
RCroundtable.com.
Jason, you got one? Flip one out there.
I'm at a loss.
Hotsexyladies.com.
Jason says, watch the TV show Ballers.